हॅलो एव्हरीवन. माईक पाहिजे का? सगळ्यांना ऐकू येईल तसं पण. Call upon Shruti Karani from our previous batch of 2021-22 to present her work.
Good morning. आ रहा है? Hello. Good morning everyone. So the research topic is about 3D printing technology for implementation and its financial assessment. Going with the introduction, so basic fundamental process of the 3D printing is the material is loaded in the printer, and with the help of nozzle the concrete is extruded, and it will print the entire building or the building components layer by layer. And the material properties of the concrete is such that it will harden quickly as the second layer of concrete gets printed on the base layer. So there are few structural components which are such as column, beams and walls, which will print with the help of printer, and there are other components such as door, windows, which are added manually with the help of traditional method. The aim of the research is to assess the financial feasibility for the implementation of 3D printing technology in the construction industry for the affordable housing projects in India. So the scope is limited and restricted to the affordable housing projects only. Objective is to study and implementation of the working of 3D printing technology along with all the other aspects such as material, labor aspect and other resources. The also objectives is study the factors which are influencing for the affordable housing projects along with the various technologies, advanced construction technologies which are involved for prototyping of the housing projects. And the final aim is to assess the financial feasibility with the help of the sample project. The methodology which was followed is setting up an aim and objective, scope and limitation. Then there were using the primary and secondary data collection, the 3D printing as a advanced construction technologies which we studied with the help of case studies, and along with the affordable housing parameters and advanced construction technologies which are been already in use in the commercial use for affordable housing projects, and with the help of financial feasibility concept, those process and all the advanced construction techniques were assessed using the evaluation techniques such as time, cost and quality. So these are the few literature reviews, literature paper which was been studied. So the concept of 3D printing technology with respect to the conventional method, the raw materials which have been already used. So in the conventional construction method, the raw materials with the help of equipments and labor, the building is produced with the generation of waste. Whereas in 3D printing technology, the exact amount of raw material is been installed in the printer, the design is loaded in the printer and the building is printed with the generation of less wastage. So the advantages which are associated, such as faster and flexible construction, it's a cost effective, since the materials which are involved in the printer are specific, so the supply chain is becomes shorter, better the productivity and constructability, along with the saving of material. Since there are lesser construction activities involved on site, so the lower impact on the environmental aspects. Rapid prototyping can be done, since once you install the materials in the printer, and design can be used repetitively. There are a few disadvantages which are associated, such as it will require standardization of the construction. The initial investment for the printer and material is higher, and there are only limited materials which are involved in the printer. So based on the printer's characteristics and construction technique, there was SWOT analysis, which is a strength of the printer is machine can print anytime and every time. There are a few main strengths, such as site job layout becomes easier, and the logistics on the on-site construction activities becomes easier. The weaknesses, such as the continuous monitoring is required, as the printer will finish up on the material. It will somebody has to monitor continuously for the supply of the material and other continuous for the continuous production. Opportunities, such as the you can reuse the recycled material in the printer. The lower the cost on logistics and implementation work. Also carbon emission due to the construction activity is also lowered, which leads to the less harmful and sustainable practices. The threats which are involved, such as printing material needs to a specific material, and also it becomes, since it's in the nascent stage, the supply chain in the market is difficult. Also the reduction of the worker lead to the job reduction on site. There were few case studies, such as the one 3D printed building which was which was located in Gandhinagar, residential 2 BHK apartment constructed by Twasta Nirman Manufacturing Company, which is having the area of 700 square feet built up area, and the entire printing process was executed within 6 months of within the 4 weeks. So the printing process was completed in the 6 days, and the printer which was used was gantry system based printer. The materials which was used was specifically made up for the specific location in with the consideration of climate as well. So the inference is being rapid prototyping can be made, and within the 6 days and a short period of time and the lesser waste of generation, the buildings can be erected. There are other 2 BHK housing unit in the Chennai area, again by the Twasta Nirman company. So this has the construction time period of 5 days of printing of the building components, and the other entire building was erected in 2 months. The waste generation was almost 1/3, and the cost which was occurred during the construction was 5 to 8 lakhs. So the entire the technologies which has been used is been personalized by the Twasta Nirman company along with the material. And there was another Episcore company which is manufactured municipality building in the UAE Dubai area, having the area of 640 square meter, that is around 6,000 square feet, and the entire printing process and on-site print construction using the printer was held within the 4 months, and the waste which was generated was reduced by 60% along with the cost saving of 50 to 70%. Materials which were used in considering the climatic condition of the Dubai, which is around 50 degrees. So entire construction process was held in the night time, and the printer was again held up on the first floor, and again the printing process was performed. There is another company named Perry, which is based in the Germany, and the residential apartment of G plus 2 along with the basement. So 3 floors of residential apartment was built, and having the 5 apartments, and the entire construction timing was 6 weeks to finish the process. And the printer which is used was gantry based printer, and the materials again was locally with the help of locally available material, and the gypsum based mixture was generated using by the Perry construction company. So based on the case studies, there are mainly 2 types of printer: gantry based printer and robotic arm extrusion printer. So the printer properties are 20, it can hold the volume of 20,000 liters of concrete. The speed is 2,000 square feet in the 24 hours. The productivity is around 1 lakh square meter in a year, and the printer's lifespan is considered to be 5 years, and later on it will have a depreciation value. So these are the to study the affordable housing projects in India. So the rate of affordable housing projects and its construction and execution is relatively lower as compared to other projects in India. So there has to be encouragement of other public partnership for the encouragement of economical cost of housing projects, and for those there are certain parameters which are involved for affordable housing projects. So parameter which are includes technological parameter, environmental and technical parameter. So in the technological parameter, the initial cost of technology must be considered for the operation and maintenance of the technique. Environmental parameter being the minimization of waste and minimization of water and energy which has been used for the execution of the technique. Technical parameter such as skill development, skill requirement for using of those technology must be considered. Apart from those technology, there are to study the financial feasibility, there are certain advanced construction technologies which were studied. So for that, the lighthouse projects, which is government project, is been the government has laid the foundation of the lighthouse project, keeping the competition of the around within the 6 cities of the India, like Indore, Rajkot, Chennai, Ranchi and Agartala and Lucknow. And in those areas, the advanced construction technologies such as monolithic concrete construction and precast construction, which is widely been used. So these 2 construction technologies were studied with the evaluation criteria being time, cost and quality. So with the help of those parameters, the factors such as quality and aesthetic, the superior qualities can be achieved in monolithic and 3D printing technology, as there are no joineries been involved. In precast components, there are column beam joineries which are involved on site. The speed of constructions are faster in all the 3 advanced technology, and raw materials been involved is exact amount of raw material is required in 3D printing technology, whereas the factory based components are been used in a precast component. So again, the materials which are used are exact amount, but apart from that, the block work which are used, so it will require a wet construction. And the maintenance and repairing finishing is not frequently been used in monolithic and precast, and also in the 3D printing technology. So with the help of those advanced construction technology, one sample project was taken for the purpose of assessment. So the project which was located in Rajkot, having the G plus 11 structure and of 1.5 BHK, and there were 11 buildings in the plot. So considering those buildings with the execution of all the 3 advanced construction technologies, so the cost which was considered for the financial feasibility was investment cost such as capital and maintenance and operational cost. So there are 2 fixed and variable components which are involved, such as land, civil works and equipment cost will remain same for every advanced construction technology. So there are variables which are involved. Based upon that, the cost of each building was derived using the if the building is executed in monolithic construction, precast and 3D printed technology. So if you consider the cost of each building, which is around 7 crores 33 lakhs, 30 lakhs and 37 lakhs, which is falling in the similar range, the same which is plotted against the time involved for the construction process. So the timing involved for, with the help of 3D printing technologies are around 2000 days. With the help of monolithic and precast construction techniques, it will take around 2800 days. So the cost, with the base case of cost and time data, there were various evaluation techniques which were available to assess the time, cost and quality data. So for the financial feasibility, these are the evaluation techniques, out of which the internal rate of return, profit to investment ratio and payback method, which were used for evaluation purpose. This is for the evaluation with respect to internal rate of return. The monolithic construction technique was internal rate of return is 14%. For the precast construction, internal rate of return is again 14%, and with the help of 3D printing technology, considering the timeline of the project, the internal rate of return becomes the 22%, which is exponentially on the higher side. Moving on with the profit ratio and payback method, which is a break-even point. Considering the timeline of the project, as the project will executed each year, the sale component which will involve apart from the investment cost, so the break-even point which will get around after 4 years, and the profit ratio is calculated around 78.67% for monolithic construction. For precast construction, the profit ratio has been calculated around 78.27% with the same break-even point, which is 4 years. And when it is plotted against the 3D printing technology, which is taking 5 years, so the break-even point is coming around 3.75 years, and the profit ratio is around 91.61%. So when all the data has been amalgamated and plotted for the comparison and assessment purpose, the cost of construction for each technologies is falling under the same range, but when it is plotted again the time, the rate of return becomes exponentially higher along with the profit ratio and the break-even time. So as per the numbers which are arrived, the rate of return of the 3D printing technology is significantly higher in the percentage. So applying the time value of money concept, the value of money is always calculated with respect to time. So the cost of construction of the technique and the working capital is in the similar range, but then profit ratio and the rate of return can be on a higher side. Since the 3D printing technology is on the nascent stage, there is always a cost which is been involved with for the experiment and growth of the technology. So the research concluding the presentation, the applying the time value of money on the all the advanced construction technology, the 3D printing technologies, when it is timeline with the help, when it has been executed with the help of timeline, it internal rate of returns are significantly higher on the construction activity.
Thank you, Shruti. I'll now call upon Aneri from the same batch to give her presentation. It'll be on. You can come here. Okay.
Hello, am I audible? Perfect. Okay. So my topic for research was real-time insights, a vital tool for improvement of coordination in construction projects. Um, Basically, I started with my finding my aim and objective for the research, then the abstract background methodology. Then coming back to the literature review, I started studying the existing data which was already there. After that, I started doing my case studies and the fieldwork analysis which was required for finding the delays, and then moving on to finding the solutions of it. And after accumulating all the data which was collected and the results were found, which actually complemented my hypothesis which I started with. So aim of the research was to study the impact of real-time insights in construction projects to reduce the delays due to coordination. I picked up one reason only for delays. There were almost 52 reasons which were there, but I just concentrated on one of them, that is coordination. Need of the study was due to because there were a lot of research which were done on finding the delays, the reasons of delays. There were multiple papers which were presented on that, but nothing actually productive solution which was coming out of all the research. So that became the need of my research. And once I started understanding the gaps in literature, then the course of action ahead of that with the case studies and everything was decided later based on the gaps. I reduced my scope to projects in Mumbai, and also that my groups were decided, the construction activities based on coordination in respect to company processes for communications, material management, project scheduling, document management and internal approvals. Methodology was basically I studied the literature review. I went with the Delphi technique for interviews. I also did 2 project case studies for the whole life cycle understanding of the projects and understanding relating the literature review, the delays which I found in the literature to my case studies. And after that, I started analyzing through the interviews and through the data which was collected, I started analyzing which was the current processes which was followed and what if we have some other workflow changes which could be done and what would be their impact on the current situation. Later, of course, in the process, I understood that from the literature review, there were multiple papers which were giving me lists of delays due in construction, but the highlighted ones are due to coordination. So there were almost around 33 which were due to coordination. One factor, coordination, which had the maximum problem there. I then consolidated all the areas in the respects of groupings which were done for project monitoring, material management, document management, contract management, resource management, and planning scheduling. So this was again coming from all the literature which was already presented. This was one of the case studies that were given. This was a redevelopment project in Villeparle, that the project name is Audumbar, and here we studied the basic project outline, and from that outline we understood what were the delays that they were facing in construction, which were the stages where they were facing the delays, and what were those delays also. So the list has been given here, and similarly to the second case study, again that was another high-rise project in Mumbai, and similarly to the previous timeline. So we just took the similar guideline of the timeline of the first project onto the second project. Because I wanted some analysis and comparison happening, I kept both the case study levels very pretty much similar to each other. Again, finding the delays and the process which was happening at the site and what could be rectified. These two projects also became my experiment areas, where if I did some changes and we applied it on the site, what were the results that were collected also happened from these two projects. So, you know, basically from the two case studies and literature review, what I found was these modules. I clubbed all these modules. I studied and analyzed information based on these processes and modules only. And then I started with my interview processes. So this is my interview demographics, where of course I analyzed and grouped information for it. Then my interview questionnaire. So there were 3 rounds of interviews which were taken with the same correspondents, and there were almost around 100 people that we've interviewed from different companies, from different from the CEO level to the site people, from office. So all of the people who were interrelated for the processes that we saw before, all of them were included in the interview list. The first round of interview, where we understood what was the current process and what was the drawback in the process that they found, what was their understanding that what could be improved also. So one round of interview where only the problem set was understood in deeper understanding, with talking to each one of them separately. Also, I started understanding what were the available solutions in the market, which could actually provide solutions to the problems which they were quoting, and also that this list came from these numbers. So there was, this was one of the part in the question as also, that which were the software they were currently using and which were actually available in the market, which they were not using basically. So understood everything. From my perspective, what happened was that I found that none of them were one-point solution to all of the processes that needs digitalization were not available on one single platform. So that was again a problem, where your data is very dispersed on all the platforms. Implementation of these softwares also became a problem then. My second round of interview was quite focused on discussing my first round of solution. So this is what I am thinking as a solution, what could be the changes that could be done in the workflows to get on the solutions part. That became my second round of interview, discussing those ideas with them. And based on that, these were the workflows. So for project scheduling, everything was very scattered, and our basic resources were not well put in the schedule. Only the timelines were made, and that too was just done in the initial process of project initiation. It was not tracked. All the data inputs which are required to complete a whole schedule, that was not there. So the solution definitely was that, one, you have to compile the whole data set to understand and analyze the project schedule and to track that better later. Reviewing, design review definitely one of it, but reviewing the process and the people involved. We all know that construction involves almost like 450 ancillary activities, and there are a lot of number of people that you require on board for each of the process. There's a lot of coordination that comes in the picture. So for that, the problem was analyzed that it is again a lot of to and fro communication, that too in different methods of communication that was happening. So that had to be consolidated on one of the platforms, duly assigning proper communication methods also. Project monitoring, like we discussed, that the schedule that we made was never actually followed on site. That Excel file, the printout was just kept on site somewhere. Nobody even knows how to read that document, and nobody even knows that what is the task that they are supposed to do today under their name. So that became the problem, where we started providing a solution that each one of them at least knows the task to be performed by them, and at the end of the day there is some report which is generated from them, so as to details as how much work was assigned to them and how much they could complete. Similarly, with material procurement, the total time taken for ordering one material was 58 days, which was too much, where I think again one of the delays that was caused due to not enough material available on site, task getting delayed. There is too much of time, the lead time increasing for ordering the material became very much intensive. So that had to be digitalized to reduce on the approvals and to reduce on the selection processes. That we could reduce to 28 days. For inventory management, again a lot of material which was lost on site, there was theft which is happening. There is, and also a lot of your money management, your finances are involved with your inventory, very much directly correlated, because if you block your finances in your inventory, in the dead stock which is later to be used, you're not operating your cash flows really well. So that is where the solution had to be found, and again here we introduced a digital medium for getting the whole process corrected. Change order again was one of the process where it was found that there's a vicious cycle of blame game which started as soon as changes were done, and based on that the solutions were then found that, you know, if we have a proper method of following, though it might take a day more to implement the change, but it is always better to go via a process so that there are no deviations and questions raised on the changes that were given. And all of this, of course, had a very direct impact on the finance management, where you talk about the cash flows on the construction side. If you don't manage that well, definitely the project runs into cost overruns, or the finances are not coming in properly, again halting the project, again dealing with the delays in construction. So that had to, all of the previously discussed solutions helped in your finance management also. RFI definitely became a very small part of it, but one of the major parts where the process of RFIs also need to be sorted. If the person is replying back at his own convenience to a problem which is arise right now at the construction site, that was also not working out. So the process for that too was clarified. We all started with implementing these Excel files, collecting all the data to the parameters which are given on the right side for those two construction projects that we saw in the case studies. We started implementing those in the Excel file system first. These are the resource management sheets, your material register, purchase order register, extra item. Based on everything, project health report was generated. And then we found that there were benefit, of course, the numbers were drastically improving even if I have my workflows corrected, not even on the digital sense, but even if I implement correct workflows on an Excel file, through an Excel file, I am able to achieve a lot of it. But of course, there were still little drawbacks to the whole manual working. And just to optimize the manual working, we started understanding that if we digitalize the whole process of getting the manual workflows into a proper digital base, what could be the outcome to that? Are we able to improvise on those numbers or not? So we started digitalizing the whole process. I went into the process of developing a web-based solution A web-based solution was better for me because it could be operated from any system, anywhere. And if I went in for an app only, then the problem was that it had to be checked whether it's working on some systems or no. A web-based can be opened on any software, any server that functions well. So that was an optimum solution. So the screens and everything that you see here are just a few screens that were developed for the whole process of the same workflows, getting down to the digital medium and automating a few things, because you could directly derive those data from the previous inputs. So your inputs and outputs become very much correlated, and not every time you need a manual input. Based on that, a separate calendar for each of the user was created, and then separate dashboards were created for them to understand so as to what the scale, what is the project health, and that could be analyzed on a quicker basis. If there are any delays which are happening, there could be action which could be quickly taken, so that there is not much realization later that I should have done that 3 months before. So that got corrected here through the dashboards, and based on that, we gave them the solution to test with those companies, and on the basis of that, a third round of interview was taken so as to collect a feedback on these systems. And then, of course, we saw that the errors that went up to 0 and 2% was the maximum error that was found, from somewhere at around 29%, which was there in your manual workflows. I could really go back to the percentage of 2%, which was very drastic change that was found. So that's it. That's about my solution. We could actually get that to the market, and it's right now running with 7 companies. So that was the output for all the research that I've done. Thank you. Yeah, sure. So based on this research, I was actually able to, sorry. So based on this research, I was actually able to create the actual product out of the research. At the end of the whole research, when the 2 companies saw that there's significant improvement, they approached me to help me with the finances to actually build that system. And that system is really there out in the market. It's called as QuickSO, Quick Construction, Quick Strategic Operations. So that's how we named it. And we're almost there with 7 more companies now. And it's fantastically running for our affordable housing projects also. So that was one of the key features that they understood, that there's a lot of time-saving features that were added to this. There was again a lot of benefit that was seen in your team productivity and company growth factors really. So where they found that the owner had to be there in all the sites, they had to go visit everything just to collect all the data to see everything is smoothly running. They restricted themselves for having 4 projects at a time. So they couldn't have more bandwidth because they couldn't run everywhere beyond 4 projects. So right now, with the help of solutions, they could progress with having more projects on the company portfolio. So that was definitely one of the experiences that have been done. But yes, the research did help me to get this properly understood, where what are the drawbacks of the existing solutions also. I wouldn't say that there were none to my competition or to the idea that I was there with, but there were 2 important factors which was not fitting in well. One was the training which was required, and one was the price point which was required. So training, because construction area is a very unorganized sector right now, and even if they spent 3 months on training somebody for an ERP system, there was no guarantee that an employee would actually be retained for another year to use that training for their company. So that became one where we tried to develop a solution which was very hands-on. You don't require any proper training for it. Only one demo actually suffices for them to understand everything. We got that converted to multiple regional languages so that it's easier for them to read and understand and just do their part of working also. And the price point definitely came down because it's not an ERP, it's a server-based web solution. The prices could really go down even when I talk about the per user charges that come up to them. So that's actually a 0.001% of the total project cost which is actually done. So that is a solution which I am sure that they will not crib about on the price point and negotiate that, you know, this is not happening. They are able to recover the solution cost from the cost recovery that, you know, the solution is providing. So that's one of the journeys that I have enjoyed in my product development also, which got connected to the whole thing later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aneri. This was really an interesting presentation, and the implementation to a product, I'm sure we all have taken cues from your presentation and your research. Can we have a few questions if...
Sure.
If anybody has any questions to ask her, or in fact even Shweta, Shruti, I'm so sorry, we can ask.
So I'll just take a minute to thank Dhawal sir, Umesh sir, Alka ma'am, everybody who's going, you know, helped me through the whole process of it, because of course our thoughts were very much haywire. I just know I wanted something like that, but the process the right process of going about it was definitely done by them. So thank you so much, sir. Right now, Umesh sir and Alka ma'am is not there. Thank you.
Yes. You want to ask her? Please come.
Hi. I just wanted to ask you about your topic, where you have given an economical assessment of 3D printing technology, and especially for affordable housing. As we know, in like generic manufacturing, injection molding or, you know, just generic casting methods are always economical when it comes to economies of scale, when you are doing mass production. So not to sound rude, but I didn't really agree with your financial assessment about being so equivalent to precast, which is basically an molding technique if you compare it to a industrial method. So, or if you could just enlighten me how you actually came to that figure. So.
So the conventional method, which has already been in use for commercial purpose, so they have multiple costs which are been involved in the construction techniques, such as equipment cost, labor cost, material cost. Also there are a huge amount of material wastage for the formwork as well. So whenever there are precast and 3D printing technologies, and otherwise also My1 technologies such as monolithic concrete construction, they have a formwork which has been repetitively used. So whenever it is been plotted against the time factor, so conventional method would take 28 days of a slab cycle, whereas my My1 would take around 12 days of slab cycle. And the 3D printing technology, I can complete with the help of printing method. The entire slab can be casted in 2 days or 3 days. So when the cost of construction is not exponentially higher, but when it has been plotted against the graph of time, so the values changes significantly as you get the rate of returns in over time. Yes. Yes, definitely. So multiple unskilled labor will be required for the conventional method, whereas for 3D printing technology there will be a huge exponentially lesser number of labors, but then it will require a skilled labor, as there are machinery and equipments which are involved. So but those will involve the construction, the material cost, even the equipment cost. The printer has been continuously load, energy has been consumed, so the entire cost has been already calculated. And when it is if you see the construction cost, even in the conventional method, those costs are already there, like, but the amount of days which are being used, तो वो 28 days के लिए यूज होता है, ये 3 days के लिए यूज होता है. So the it offsets the same and equally it's the same. If you see the cost of each building for those 3 techniques which I have considered, so the cost of those technique will be more or less in the same similar ranges, but when those costs are being placed against the time, and the rate of returns will be in the quick manner, so you can see the growth in the rate of returns and profit ratios.
Thank you so much. Anybody else has a question? I think it's still taking time for them to sink in with the lovely presentation. So we'll just take a 2 minutes break before the speaker comes in. Yeah. We can start? Okay. We would like to take this opportunity of introducing our eminent speaker, Ms. Priyamvada Chaudhary, ma'am, here to everyone. Ms. Chaudhary is currently associated with Knight Frank, India, excuse me, as the Director of Project Management Services. Ma'am has been an alumna of Academy of Architecture, 1992 batch. She has a career spanning 27 years of varied professional experience in architecture design, interior design, and project management. Ms. Chaudhary has handled projects designed and built in several parts of the country and a few foreign countries as well. Her portfolio includes handling buildings in various genres like commercial, retail, industrial, residential, hospitality, master planning of multi-use complexes and logistic parks as well. Ms. Chaudhary also holds a degree in business management from NMIMS, Mumbai. Apart from being registered member of COA, she is also a member of PMI Mumbai chapter. Her introduction interestingly ends with her statement saying, "Still learning." She is currently associated with Knight Frank, which is one of the world's leading independent real estate consultancies. Today, we will be discussing the many avenues in project management, its present, past, and the future. Now, without any further delay, we welcome Ms. Priyamvada Chaudhary on stage. Over to you, ma'am.
Your transition from being architects. Are you all architects? Let me get things right first. And so I was told that there is structure. Who is it?
She is filling. We can arrange this for you on the table.
Yes. Can this be a little back? Hi. Lovely. Now just check whether you can hear through this. Can you hear? No. Can you all hear? Through the mic? Okay. So I'm here to talk to you about the purpose that you may want to define when you start this journey. Each one of you are different. You come from different backgrounds, I assume. You come from different experiences, your different ages. So your purpose will be different. You all cannot have a uniform purpose. So let's celebrate individuality. Okay? Let's not conform to a statistic. We are not a statistic. Architects are never a statistic. So it's very important that in the beginning of anything, you define a very clear purpose for yourself. All of you are good at something. Figure out what you're good at. Okay? Find the real reason for you to be here. What is your real reason for being and taking up a project management course? What do you want from it? Do you want a good job? I mean, are the architectural jobs, I'm going to say a few things on this podium, which may be slightly, how do you say, disconcerting. But the reason why I'm saying it is not to throw anyone off. I'm only saying it because it's the truth, okay? And we all need to know the truth about ourselves as to why are we doing project management as a course. Because if you know that, you're very likely to achieve what you started out. But if you just don't know why are you here, you are not going to be able to fulfill that purpose. And so architects let me also celebrate that I'm happy to be an architect. I think I would have been a misfit anywhere else. Because my thought process is to explore, to investigate, to ask. Lot of the other places they might have said it's like this. Don't ask. Just do it this way. Luckily in architecture, you're allowed to design. Design is your first freedom. And it is yours. Nobody can say that this plus this plus this is this. Nobody can say that. It's your design, it's your individuality, it's your expression. And because you are architects, first of all, let me get this right. Is everyone here an architect in this room? Wow, great. So, are you happy being architects? Yeah. Are you proud being architects? Great. So, the first thing that we establish is we are happy being who we are. Our first purpose achieved. You have an individuality which says, I want to be creative, I want to be me. I'm not one of the many. Okay? Celebrate the individuality. Now comes to your decision to do project management. So the transition between architecture and project management, if you want to call it that, is first you are expected to understand what this project is that you are going to do. So I have seen engineers struggle with architectural plans. Why they struggle will come to later. Maybe the plans are not right. That will come to later. That is not what I am talking about. But they just struggle because they are not familiar. They have never done, they have never really sifted through plans. They have not tried to understand the structure. And in project management, you have to know it. You have to know what you are building. Anybody who says, there is a big theory there which says that, you are going to be a project manager and you don't know what you are building, you're gone. I mean, that's a goner right from day one. So as architects, you have the tool to understand the project and understand the structure you are going to build. So that's your first advantage of being a project manager. You understand the language of drawing. And because you understand the language of drawing, you are likely to understand the building you are going to build. And hence you understand the project you are going to embark upon. A lot of people don't know that even at the end of the project. So this is your advantage to be an architect getting into project management. Now come to the other side of the table. Because you are an architect and you are appointed as project manager, this will be expected out of you. Very soon, people are going to say, you're an architect, you should know your drawing is complete hai ya nahi. How many of you worked in industry? I mean, how many of you? Okay, so what do you think is the bane of our times? What is actually lacking in Indian project management? Or let's say in architectural practice, forget project management for a minute. What do you think? Do you think there is anything lacking at all? Here I am treading a very thin ice, but I am still going to say it. I'll tell you what is lacking. What is lacking is a comprehensive understanding of building. Why are you doing what you are doing? Is just not understood. And second, you design a building, I have seen tons of designs which are incomplete. Incomplete in conception, incomplete in detailing, incomplete period. This goes back to how we were taught. Okay? Can you imagine this phone working with anything not inbuilt in it? Anything missing? Will this work? Does any product work if it is half done? How can a building work if it is half designed? It can't. So the first and foremost thing as architects going into project management, you must be able to study a set of drawings and say, this is not there. Sorry, you can't start this project. You can't start this project because you have an incomplete conception. Any of you actually done some nurturing, been with small children or babies? All babies are fully formed, right? And they grow up to be fully formed human beings, right? Your building is a conception. It has to have everything in it. If you don't have it, when you get a plan from an architect, when you are a project manager, it's your first thing to do. Study the plan. Over 27 years, I can look at a set of drawings and the plan comes here. The plan is here, it's not on that paper. So learn how to make friends with a drawing. It's not a headache to sit with a set of drawings. That is what that building is going to be. So make friends with the drawing, understand the drawing. Learn how to read drawings carefully. One of the exercises that you must do is that revisit your drawings which you did some years back. It's like just looking back. I've come a few steps ahead and just look back. And you will understand how idiotic you were. Nobody needs to tell you. You will understand yourself. Okay? Second thing, look at a drawing as if you have to build it because you're going to be project manager, right? Going ahead. So you got to build it. So now all the things that the engineers told you when you were designing, yeah, this is not there, that is not there, this is not known, dimension is not there. All of this is going to be done by you now. Because now the responsibility is on you to build it. You will start understanding how incomplete we design. So, the first thing that is expected of an architect who wants to transition into project management is to study drawings, to find the anomalies, point them out, straighten them out. For that, you must understand the building before anyone else. So, it's important, I would assume that it is important that you work in an architectural company or you work for a while. Before you just straight away jump into project management is a profession. You understand why I'm saying that? Is because if you don't go through the paces of design and you don't understand it from an architectural perspective, how do you start understanding what is there in a building? You may have learnt it in the 5 years of architecture, but anybody here will agree with me that we go out there, it's a different world. And it is different from what you have learnt. So because it's different, it's important for you to go through those spaces. Go through those spaces, understand what you're building. That forms the purpose. Okay, I know this building, I have understood, all the services are in place. The entire structure is fine, it looks good to go. You are not a structural engineer. That's not what's expected out of you. But the basics of structural engineering have to be known. So if you just don't know it, make it your business to know. In project management, you cannot say, I'm an architect, I don't understand structure. I'm an architect, I don't understand services. Forget about it. You have to know the building as if the architect has called you in, this is the plan, now please build. And your first interaction should be with the architect as a project manager. Sir, madam, luminaries of architecture, come. Let's study all your plans together. Most architects don't like it. I have no idea why. I have no idea why in architecture there can't be an audit. Just because you are an architect, you become what, God? You can't be questioned. Leave this attitude outside. When you get into a project, you are as answerable as anybody else. And if you are going to be project manager, the gun is on your head. You must understand what you are doing. So, I would very strongly recommend you start studying drawings. There is a lot of information available on the net, right? Start looking at building designs. Familiarize yourself. That is what you are going to get at a project management site. You are going to get a set of drawings. Start getting used to looking at them. Start making notes. This drawing didn't have this. This prepares you for your role as project manager. You have crossed the first step of saying, I know what I am doing. Okay? So, this is what I would say is the start of what architects must do when they are transitioning into project management. Next, so you now know the building, you know what's to be done. What are the 3 cornerstones of any project? 4, I would go to 4, not only 3. One is, what is the scope of work? What are you going to do? Which is what I was dealing with, is the first part of it. Second is the cost. Please tell me, BArch students who sit here, how many of you know the cost of materials in Mumbai? Let's say, we'll start with, has anybody gone through any schedule of rates? How many of you are familiar? Just to understand, here, I'm not sitting here to assess your abilities. I'm here to point out what you should know going forward, so that we don't look like fools when we actually get into the profession and we are not caught there. You all must be remembering 3 Idiots. Better to get it right here than have a problem there. How many of you have actually gone through the schedule of rates? If you haven't, please do. Familiarize with yourself. You want to say something? So you have, right? You know, good. Keep at it. Keep at it. Ask a lot of questions. When you look at a building, do you really look at a building? There is a construction site going on somewhere close by. Have you ever walked in? That's all going to prepare you for the rest of your life. Does it interest you? If somebody is building something, can I just... And most people, including the Darban who is at the gate, whom we think is an insignificant human being, might understand that you have some passion for building. But that's if you walk up to him and you say, please, I want to see what building is being made. Go, see, ask. If you don't do this, you are not gearing up for your role. The future is not later, it's now. It's just the next minute. So don't think, I will learn project management for 2 years and then I will have this degree. So everybody will believe that I'm a good project person and I will start my journey then. That journey never starts. Start now. You're studying, no? You're a bona fide student of project management. It's something you want to do. So please take the time to go to the nearest construction site which is near you and kindly walk in, request, take your college ID card if you want. Say, look, I want to learn, that's why I want to come. Ma'am is, I've just spoken to her and I think she has very refreshing ideas. So I will suggest something also after this talk. And we can collaborate and we can do something together as well. That is where you get into a live site. You understand, do you even like this? A dhool, mitti. Anybody who has a look at my shoes will tell you that, ma'am, you didn't clean your shoes. I can't, not every day. But I make it my business to go to my sites. So shoes are going to be dirty. So the project management is that. Project management is not theoretical, it is practical. You have to go to your sites, you have to love your buildings, and you have to be very sure that you are the custodian of this. Koi nahi hai, nobody is there. It's your baby, you've got to nurture it, you've got to build it. So I was coming to cost. Find out the costs. Track the costs. Keep reading through. Nobody has come out ignorant if they read. If you read, you will know. If you are tired of reading, bored of reading, sorry, can't help it, you have to read. So I read a quote somewhere which said, you would be the same person that you would be 5 years hence, except for 2 things. The people you have met and the books you have read. Agree? What else is new? So do it. I give that as a prescription for you to do well in life. Read. Don't be so ignorant and don't be so sure that you know everything. Most of the time you won't. Time. Time is passing. The next cornerstone of a project management thing is time. So here comes the difficult part. Let's say you're a punctual person. I told Madam Shweta I would be here at 9:30. I was here at 9:25. So I respect my time. Does everyone else respect mine? Most of the time you'll find they don't. Now, as project manager, you have to convince a whole lot of people that time is important. Because otherwise, you will not go with the time schedule of the project. How do you convince people that we have to build this, which is purpose, this is what we have got to do, we have to do it within this cost, we have to do it within this time? This is the project management that you are going to learn in all sorts of different ways. Scope of work, cost, time, and the last. Shouldn't be the last, should be the first. Quality. Will this do? Will something just do? If you decide it will do, nobody will correct you. You are the project manager. ये चल जाएगा. What is चल जाएगा? Either it conforms, it doesn't conform. What is चल जाएगा? There's nothing like चल जाएगा. So, don't think anything will just do. So how do you prepare for quality? Yeah? Sermons of quality you can give somebody else. But how do you recognize quality? Have you recognized quality? Have you asked yourself what is quality? And do you have recognizable symbols of quality in your life? Are you a person who recognizes quality? That's the other thing you need to build into yourselves. So, you've seen a lot of buildings in Bombay, right? I'm sure, because as architecture students you would have. So, what is quality? Can you tell me some buildings which are quality? Which you feel this is a superb building? Any ideas? In Mumbai, we are talking about Mumbai right now. We can talk about the rest of the world, but we'll start with Mumbai, because that's your immediate environment. Any ideas where you can tell me that these are good quality buildings? Any of you? Okay. Please go look around. If you don't know what is built in your city, what's the benchmarking? What are you benchmarking against? And you may go out in the world, right? You may go anywhere in this country. But if you don't know what is good, how will you guide somebody else on quality? There is, in corporate India, there is something called as a KRA. People are trying to find out what could be your key result areas. So every material has a performance index. Okay? So start reading about materials and their specifications. What is this supposed to do? What was it manufactured against? If you know that, then you know why you're choosing it. So I'll tell you how I learned this. I also didn't know it. I didn't know a lot of things. I was just telling ma'am that after 5 years of architecture, I was extremely clueless. Clueless. You all look far more purposeful than I may have been 30 years ago. So I worked on a project where I had a client who was Swiss German. As tough as they get. So the insights that he gave me about project management, I wouldn't have learned in a course. I wouldn't have learned anywhere. So he said, one of the things I don't understand is that why is it that the Indians that I meet and I ask a question and I expect a yes or a no, and I get an answer, yes, but so and so, so and so, so and so. No, but so and so, so and so, so and so. I'm not asking no, but what? Yes, but what? I'm just asking yes or no. You know what that means? That you have to think precisely to talk precisely. Either the answer is yes or the answer is no. Yes, but, no, but. Not necessary. Hear what somebody is asking. Answer what is required. Answer what is required. Sorry, can you just shut this phone? I'll just shut it. Thank you. Sorry. So that's very important. And what he also talked of is that when you choose a material, you must know how it performs, what its specifications are, and why you are using it. Why this? Why not this? So that's the other thing. Choosing of something or choice of something. When you become a project manager, you will get specifications from the architect. You will get plans from the architect. You will get a BOQ from the architect. So it's very important that you ask these questions. And it's not about you asking questions we don't know answers for, huh? And somebody else has to answer. You have to actually know. So when you asking the architect the question, you must know the good or the not so good about the same material. And is there an option? Is there something better? So knowledge of what is available in this city, what is easily available, which is not available, you need to know. You can't do buildings, or you must be able to recognize a building which looks impossible to build very early, but that comes out of experience. I don't expect you to do it on day one. I'm only telling you the building blocks of all these things. I'm telling you what you should look for when you get into that role. These are the cornerstones of what will make you a good project manager, or you will find that you are floundering. Teams. You have a team which works with you when you are at a project management site. You're not alone. So all these great ideas of I am the architect, I am unanswerable, I don't know cost, I don't know how much time this will take, all out of the window. You have a team, you are answerable to your team. You have to know how to build this better than anybody in your team. That's when you have leadership. I've been at sites where I had 1,500 people. How many? 1,500. And for the ladies, I may say most of them men. Indian men, like all men, don't like direction. They hate it. And so they look at, oh, so this lady is going to tell us what to build? Really? The only reason why I survived, yeah, most women project managers survive, is they have to be better prepared. Better prepared with knowledge about what we are doing. Maybe a tiny bit more than everyone else. Because only then people listen to you. Otherwise they won't. So now let me come to a very important part, which is how would you go about getting onto your careers? Have you thought about it? You are an architect, you are doing a project management course. What now? After you get out of these years, or what do you do in these 2 years besides studying? Right, ma'am? If they are studying, you have a whole lot of, I think, I don't know, what is the time frame for the day? Two years, half a day. Yeah, what do you do for the rest half of the day? The rest half of the day, you prepare to become a project manager. You're not to read your books in college. Please, you're in profession. You're already an architect. You're already a professional. Don't treat yourself as a 12th standard student. Leave the college, go to a construction site. Leave the college, join an architect's office. please do something with your time. These are very, very precious years. Ask me, 30 years later, I feel I've wasted time royally. I've done rubbish in the first 10 years of my career. I don't even remember what I've done. And like any Indian architect, I have gone from job to job and done what the job does. I have done what that job and that architect does. If he makes me sharpen pencils, I sharpen pencils. If he makes me draft, I do draft. If he makes me do area calculations, I did area calculations. And that makes me a drifter, doesn't make me an architect. So you just drift through those years, and years are passing, time is passing, you're getting older, and your career is nowhere. What career have you made? You've done everything that job asked you for. That job has no challenges, you have no challenges. Everyone is happy. It's an equilibrium. Nobody needs to challenge themselves. Nobody needs to move forward. Nothing. Because they've set the bar so low. First and foremost, when I finish this, I would urge you to find out what is happening in the city. What are the projects? Which are the companies? Who is doing what? Just do it for yourself. Find out, this is your profession. Nobody else can do it for you. Earmark. I am happy to associate with you. All of you who are sitting here. You want me to guide you on something? I'm happy to hear you. Because I would have loved somebody to do that for me 30 years back. So I'm standing here, I'm neither a guru, neither I know it all. In fact, I'm still learning. And I have admitted it in my biodata also. Now I'll tell you what makes a good project. So why did I choose to be a project manager? I'll tell you. So I figured that when I worked with architects, I understood one part of it, which was not complete. It was very incomplete. I just saw one part of it. And whatever that architect was doing, I was happy to learn from that person, but it was very incomplete. So then I decided that I'll join a developer. Now you know what is the difference? Anybody here who can tell me what's the real difference in a Mumbai developer and an architect's office? The developer doesn't allow you to sleep. The one thing that you will come out doing is tremendous hard work and you will forget sleep. Because you will have so much to do. You know, if you can do X, they'll make you do 2X. What's good about it is you start learning to manage 2X. In my experience, for 3.5 years that I worked with a developer in Mumbai, I did more, and I say it in authority, than most people would do in a lifetime. You know why? Because I just put myself up to it, saying that bring it on, let's see. So in 3.5 years, I was doing about 4 commercial buildings, about 6 redevelopment projects, a township, and a retail project. 3.5 years. It's huge. That's huge. And this is not about being in the planning stage. This is about building. Actually building those buildings. So one of the things that I've been very fortunate to do is a building called Platina at BKC. Platina would rate as one of the better buildings in the city. And I was lucky to be on it. I'm not saying it was lucky to have me. I was lucky to be on it. And what that one building taught me, I spent the rest of my 15 years only improving on it. One building can change your life. One project can change your life. So concentrate and choose it wisely. I was simply told, these are the plans, this is the site, this is what we have built, now please come and go and finish it. Which is a simple sentence, but what it entails, nobody told me, and I had to find out. I'm happy to say it's one of the most remarkable buildings in the city. And it is a quiet building. It's not a show-off building. It's not something screams out. But it has pure quality. Please go and visit it. Do go and see it. I would recommend that. After doing Platina, I got another challenge of, and this is unique, is to put up a project which was the most expensive real estate in this country. In the year 2008, that was the start of what you know today called the Capitol. Any of you know the Capitol building? I see some people shaking their heads, I see some people not shaking their heads. Do you know of a building called the Capitol in Mumbai? It's got an egg in it. You must be familiar with the egg building. If you Google egg building Mumbai, you will get the Capitol. Right. In BKC, that's right. So I was with the developer who was developing it. I had just finished Platina. And I was told, this is the biggest challenge of your career. Most expensive real estate in the country, not Mumbai. Now let's find an architect for it. Go anywhere in the world and find one. Anywhere in the world find, because it's that kind of a building. It needs that kind of an architect. So I'm like, really? Now what do I do? It's a challenge. So I say, I ask myself, what's the purpose? I come back to my original word. What is the purpose? Why? What is it that they want me to do? Do they just want an architect? Do they want something fantastic? What is it that they want to do? So I decided that I'll do some research. And I was asked for an architect within 7 days. And the threat was, if you don't give me an architect in 7 days, I'll go to Hafiz contractor. Right? I have nothing against Hafiz contractor. He is an alumni of Academy of Architecture, and I have the greatest respect for him. But that was a threat. So I said, okay, we have something, let's find out what we can do. And I was happy to find a very good architect. Somebody who had not built a single building then. And I was selecting him to do the most expensive real estate in this country. Not a single building built. So the developer thought that I had gone mad. And he told me that. He said, I think you lost it. A guy has not done a single building and you want me to entrust him with such a difficult job. So I said, sir, let's visit his website and let's see what he's doing. Let's see what he has in the pipeline. I thought that the stuff he was doing, he would be the next big thing in architecture. So the job was to select somebody who would be relevant in the next 15 years or next future. So when we looked at his designs, we thought he had a spark. And we chose somebody who hadn't built a single building. The point I'm trying to make is that there is a promise. There is a promise in most of us. You must recognize that promise. And he went on to do a great job. Okay? The original design of the Capitol is not what you see today. The original design of the Capitol is an entire egg. Do Google it sometime. It is in the shape of an egg. And anybody would tell you that the shape of an egg, if you have increased FSI, you can't poke the egg, right? The egg is what it is. It's a fully defined form. So it had to be changed. And because it changed, the egg went inside the building. So the building became straight. And in reminiscence of a great design, the egg went inside. So this is how you can have to change midway. It's not so clear that you start with something and it will end exactly there. You may not. But you have to also know how to change, shift gears and move along and still make a good building. Now the question came as to it's all right about the design. Now how do you build this? This monstrosity, especially when it was in the egg form. There was 6 months of trying to find the right constructible partner to be able to actually build something like this. And all the L&Ts of the world and biggest companies in the world came in to bid for it because it would have been an iconic structure. And I've been part of these workshops, so I know the constructability of a building is up there. It's not something which is a byproduct of design. It is the cornerstone of design. So when you are in your home and you want to do a painting, you're an artist. When you're an architect, you're taking an entire team with you. You are responsible to your client. You are responsible to the entire team who works with you. So the constructability of what you design is paramount. If you can't conceive that, you have no right to design something which nobody can construct and think that that's a great thing. It's not. It's not. You can have a challenging structure, that's fine. You can challenge a structural designer to say that, chalo ye build karke dikhao. But don't think that's the end of it. You are in it as much as him. You both succeeding builds that building. Not that you throw a challenge and he is going to do everything else. No. First and foremost, you need to know enough about structural design when you design. So all these things matter. And going forward, you are going to ask these questions to the architects where you are project manager. So this is what is expected of you as an architect when you switch roles. When you move from here to here, this is all that's going to happen. First-hand understanding of material, first-hand understanding of its cost, first-hand understanding of architecture entirely. I think it's a big plus for architects to be project managers. It's a fantastic plus because it only shows you how you can build things and you become a better designer. One of the things that happened in my career is that I did a lot of project management and building and executing buildings and then came to design. Now that's a first, right? But I always loved design. I was always waiting for the opportunity to design. But it came at the right time because I knew how to build. And then I came back to design. So I spent 8 years in doing a lot of design, building a lot of buildings. Indian architect building buildings in Vietnam, Indonesia, Uzbekistan, Morocco, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka, Russia. We usually have the other way around, no? We all have all the foreign architects coming in, building here. So the importance is not in me doing it. It's an Indian architect who could build buildings abroad in their environment and in their construction teams. Get the concept and the perspective right. All these countries are fabulous. Vietnamese have taught me so much, I can't tell you how much. And I thought that as Indians we are going to teach them. Thank God we went to Vietnam. We learned so much and came back. So professional. I just, in the beginning of this year, I was in Sri Lanka, building something there. I was horrified at what we do as against what they do. Fabulous. They're fabulous. They know their stuff. They've learnt it well. They apply it. Good professionals. Good professionals. There is a lot lacking in the Indian system of design and project management. Let's be aware of it. There's a lot to learn from the world. I did something in Morocco. I was again horrified. Moroccans know their stuff very, very well. Very astute, shrewd, good builders, have seen the world. They're like, their very location is such that the east and the west, they're a confluence. So they go to the west, they go to the east, they get the best, and they know what is good. So it's very important that we know what is good before we go out there. Please use the 2 years that you have to become good project managers. Do not treat it as a course after which you go home. Treat it as a learning, an extended learning to the rest of the learning that you are going to do. You are going to know the technicalities of project management in a project management course. But you are going to know projects when you go to project management sites. The next thing, and I think I'll close after this, is attitude. Architects are full of it. That's the one byproduct in architecture. So first year typically starts with saying, you're scared of everyone. Oh my God, this teacher has criticized my design. I've also cried after architecture design has been criticized. Even almost gave up architecture. So how rude, how mean they are. But we also made such idiotic mistakes here. So somebody in my class had drawn a door. So the swing of the door, when it opened, was longer than the complete swing. It was disproportionate. So the guy asked, how will you close this door? So I had a friend who said, he done this very nice section. So we said, the section looking very nice. Where are these steps in the plan? He said, no, it's not in the plan. In section it looks nice, no, those steps. So the plan and the section was not matching. So what looks good in the section, we should do for the section. It never reflects back in plan. Now this of course was a joke and we even laugh at it now when we meet that architect. Saying कि अभी भी बनाता है plans ऐसे. उसमें अच्छा दिखता है, so you put it into that and then you don't put it back. So we've done all of this. So some people never did straight lines and they did angular stuff and they did chamfer. Chamfer was always more design than straight line. I don't know why. But it was. At least when I was doing my architecture, it was. Maybe you all are very evolved group of architects. So we've come through the same place, okay? So I'm not standing here trying to give you some great gyan. I'm only telling you, this is what I learned in that journey. I have learned this in this journey. And you're going to be here someday, right? And you will then assess whether I was making sense at that time. Change the way you think. Please. This is the time to do it. I learned in the hard way. I was insufferable 15 years back. I'm horrified at myself when I look back 15 years. I'm wondering how they tolerated me. Huh? I don't know. I just thought I was right always. I am the architect, I know, I this, I that. No. Please don't do that. You are one among a team. Change your attitude right from day one. Please be humble. Please be learning. Please respect your drawings. Pray to it if it's necessary. You remember that scene in Three Idiots where he's praying to God and telling him, please, ye pass kara do, kind of thing? Take a set of drawings, pray to it, and then start the project. That is going to make the project. And be humble when you're dealing with architects. You come from the same fraternity. Humbly tell them, Madam, sir, drawing is incomplete. Please complete. I am happy to go to your structural engineer. I am happy to go to your MEP consultant if you don't have time. But please don't make a deformed building. It's like a baby, fully formed. Has to be. You're the project manager. Conception is somewhere else. You're the delivery. You have to deliver perfectly. So, attitude. Make sure you take the team along. Respect everyone who is on site. Respect your structural teams, your actual execution teams. I've learned a lot from carpenters. I've learned a lot from the plumbing people. I've learned a lot from observation. Observe things. Nothing better than observing. People who worked with me in various stages of my life, the only thing I've done is I've just tried to change their outlook towards their own profession. So a lot of them come back and tell me, ma'am, now when I go to the station, I actually see the way the steps are done. I actually see the trusses. I actually see the roof. I'm actually seeing where the water gets drained from the roof when I'm going. That's all. Observe. You're in a profession of observation. Look at details. Imbibe details. God is in the details. There's no doubt about it. So, these are some pointers which would make you, I think, a good manager going forward. So, I would now request you to think on the matters that I have talked about. I repeat, I am no guru, I have not achieved so much that I can pontificate. I can't. I'm only sharing my experiences with you. And do the offbeat, please. So I was told, oh, you're into design and you're doing industrial, is it? Somehow people think that industrial work is not making the grade. let me tell you, I've learnt more doing industrial work than I did in my entire career. Why? Can you think why? Because every industry is different. And for once, it's process driven. It's not some figment of somebody's imagination. It's a process. It will go from here to here to here to here to here. Finished. Matter is over. And you have to devise a setting for this industry. And you have to make sure that it's efficient. Many of these times in architectural design, I don't see the word efficient. Efficiency is none of anybody's business. It is. So, industrial work is also extremely challenging, very interesting. So I just did an industry which changed the PET bottles, which we drink, water, to yarn. It's fantastic because all that yarn is going to go into your shoes, it's going to your sportswear, it's going to go to all these things. And it's sustainable in the very process. Because where is all these PET bottles going otherwise? So they are kind of making flakes out of it and then they are drawing it into yarn. So they do. So industry takes you to very, very different places, which a routine architecture doesn't. A residential is a residential is a residential. I am not saying that it's not challenging. Don't get me wrong. But it's still regular. A commercial building is still regular. You may do a fantastic facade and all of that, but still we know what the purpose of that building is. Retail is also regular, but retail we tend to get more flashy than the rest of it. Industrial is one which is very challenging. Do build industry going forward. You will find it to be very satisfying, very scientific. So the amount of knowledge I got when I did industrial work on the services side, I would never get, no. So the ETPs, the boilers, the sludge dryers, ever discussed in architecture? Not needed. Because we are going to build only commercial buildings, resi buildings, retail buildings, right? No. Open up your mind. You can be a project manager anywhere. Don't constrain yourself. Right? So I think enough of what I had to say, and now I'm happy to hear what you have to say. And I'm a fairly good listener also. So, here ma'am, we go. I finished what I have to say. Let's hear from your students. And if you have any questions, I was told there's a Q&A. So let's start the Q&A if you want to. Just talk, yeah. Just talk. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to rate this as an intelligent question or not. I don't know what it is. I don't know what an intelligent question is. Doesn't. Is there anything that comes to your mind or you want to ask? Because all the amount you will ask will matter in what you will do eventually. At least are you happy with what you heard? Right? At least will it make you think? I would have fulfilled my purpose of coming here. If it makes you think. Because that came to me very late. So the thinking only came very late. So I would be happy if you can be that. I had bought some of my projects to show, but I believe that that's irrelevant. It's actually irrelevant to what you may do ahead. You may do much more. And I'd be very happy to hear you doing much more. Yeah?
Ma'am, thank you for making us, putting us on a path to slightly change the way we have been thinking all this time. I have not so intelligent question. How would you identify a good project manager from a bad one? Because when you were saying,
Yeah. No, I'm very clear about that.
yes,
That's one of the few things I'm clear about. Good project managers know the buildings that they do first. I was explaining that only.
yes,
They know that, they know out of experience or they know out of calculation how much time this building is going to take. And they try to align all the activities required for the project to fit within the project. Ideally, even be lesser than what is anticipated. In India, we have a thought process that if we have got 9 months to an exam, the last month is the most important.
maybe the last 9 days.
9 days, correct. 9 days is most important. Because we feel we have time.
Yes.
So how does that change when you become project manager? That time also you feel you have time. Time hai, time hai. Diya na, how much time they have given? 14 months. Acha, 14 months is there, na? What time hai? That's where the problem starts. Because you think you have time. You don't. Cost. So even in industry today, you will be very unhappy to know. There is something called as a cost consultant. Why does that happen? Because nobody knows cost. We need an expert for everything. मुझे मालूम ही नहीं है. I have to know something, right? When I'm a project manager. You have to know a little bit of everything. If you know a lot about everything, superb. But otherwise, so your cost, your time, and your quality. And you have to become a person who recognizes quality. You know, things should bother you. Saying that, why is this built like this? Why is this maintained like this? Why can't you do a better job than this? You know, what is good? Start identifying in your daily lives. You see something and you say, this is very pretty, this is very nice. Ask yourself why you like it. You will become a person who starts recognizing quality if you identify why you like something. Those who travel, those who've traveled to Singapore, I give this example every time. So Singapore is my mecca of design. Okay. Why I say so is, not because they come up with the most outlandish or fantastic designs, but they have created neatness as a part of design. So their execution is so exemplary that a tile which costs you 35 rupees will look equal to a tile which is 150 rupees. Because it's the setting, no? It's not the material.
Yeah.
It's about how it's executed.
Standardization.
And you have to make sense of the material. Because you can't have material which is constantly needing maintenance. The other thing, as an aside, I urge all of you to reduce the use of glass on the facades of buildings. And I'm saying it from this podium because you don't know the problem. It's too acute a problem. We learned from the West the glass facades and we've never given it up. And I'm beginning to feel we are not even, at least I'm talking about myself here. We have to go beyond our limitations. Because in commercial buildings, when you do glass facade using it's over.
Yes.
ऐसे ग्लास लगाया, वैसे ग्लास लगाया, अभी मैंने तो ड्रॉ किया है ना, तो करने वाला तो फसाड इंजीनियर है ना. Please don't have that attitude. Work on your building elevations, even from a designer perspective. The earlier buildings, ma'am, for instance, didn't have so much of glass, yeah? Glass is a easy way out, according to me. You plunk it on the face of your building and you think you have a building. Reduce glass. Under any circumstances, this is for the future generations. You're creating a problem first and then you're solving it. Don't create it only in the first place. Because what happens when you do glass? You do triple loic on it in terms of the facade treatment. You do double glass. So you're just making it very expensive. And then you're spending thousands of rupees on the air conditioning of it. We're a warm country, for God's sake. We don't need the sunlight in. We don't need the heat. Keep it out. So, good project managers will recognize design, will recognize the schedule, will recognize the costs, will try to limit everything. And the best thing, because the very fact that you're on a project, it means that you're going to deliver quality. If you don't understand quality, you have no business to be there. And so you must work. I would request all of you to spend some time thinking of how you will make your careers. You must know about design, you must know about building, you must know about executing buildings, and then go into project management in the project management mold. I would strongly recommend that.
Right.
I hope I've answered your
Yes.
question.
Yes.
So bad project managers, all of whom don't do any of this. That's the difference.
Thanks, ma'am. I must say, you are a great speaker. And
Am I? I never thought of myself.
You engaged ourselves. I mean, throughout your speech. And secondly, I thank Alka ma'am to call one of the architect as a project manager, because I was always wondering how architect can manage another architect. Whether there's a conflict. So my question is pertaining to that.
Yeah.
How do you manage? I mean, do you have any kind of experience or any kind of conflict in terms of design or in
I have
terms of
conflicts
design?
every day.
So how do you manage it actually?
Right. Right. As a project manager, I'm not supposed to have an opinion on architecture. But unfortunately, I'm an architect. And the worst is when you're a design architect. Because you know how you can make this better, but you need that person's permission. Right? मुझे मालूम है, I can see that this is incompetent, this is lousy. I can't say it. I can only urge somebody to think differently. Most of the times I have been successful because I'm quite persuasive. And the one thing I must say, and I'll admit, is that I've always put the architect on a pedestal. They love it. You're the creator. I'm not the creator. You're the creator. Let's make a better building. That's music to their ears. Because what is the end purpose? It's not you or me. It's the building. How many people understand that? It's what you're there for. It's not an individual ego. It should never be. Okay? So I am what my buildings are here. There is no Priyamvada Chaudhary. There are the buildings which will last, where she has been involved. If I can make a better building, I'm a good project manager. And architects, I think, understand that. Once you deliberate with them, they also understand. You've got to be kind about it. Like if somebody had found out my mistakes, how would I feel? So if I'm finding out somebody else's mistakes, I'll have to first of all clothe them that they are not mistakes. Right? Then I'll have to keep the focus on the building. Saying that you and me will be outlived by this building. Let's make a good one. And just keep the focus there. Usually they come around. That's the answer to your question. So this is not about manipulation. It's actually about doing good buildings. Being so passionate, the passion should get conveyed. Okay, let's all make a great project. Just say that, and most people will align themselves because everybody wants the same thing, yeah. So drop the I, keep the V, and do good buildings. That's what you came here to be. So just do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was quite a mesmerizing session, I must say. And the best part was you made us think beyond the curriculum. So that was really nice. And I'm sure every one of us is, going to be, as Prachi, my colleague, just rightly said, we'll think beyond what is expected of us from hence now. We would also like to thank our principal ma'am to have this opportunity of listening to hearing ma'am, and yes, as Parikshit also mentioned, to hear an architect's angle or to hear it from a perspective of an architect who's also playing this role as a project manager. I think that is what we all always had this question in mind. How do you play this dual role, or in a way, as ma'am rightly said, just take the architect in a back seat and have the project manager in the front seat. Really fantastic day and session, ma'am, and thank you, ma'am, and the faculties as well for giving this opportunity to all of us. I would like Alka ma'am and Priyamvada ma'am. Ma'am, please felicitate our guest. Yes.